Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in to 98.3 FM, The Life. You're listening to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, and I'm your host, Margie Love. I almost forgot who I was. We come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock to talk about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. If you miss any part of today's episode, definitely tune into the podcast, Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Today, again, I have a very, very special guest, a very dear friend of mine. Looks like you're on mic number 4, so I'm going to turn you on momentarily over there, Joe. My good friend Joe is here, and we're going to be talking about the AI hype, the hype of AI. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the dangers of AI and what we should be worried about. And hopefully, we're going to talk about a little solutions. We want to ruin your day and brighten your day all in the same episode. So, Joe, say hello to the world.
Good morning.
All
Hello,
right.
world.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for having me back, Marty.
Definitely. This is really exciting. So this is once a month we get together, Joe, and we talk about AI right now. Next month we'll be talking about something different, a new series which is yet to come, yet to decide upon.
Stay tuned.
Yes, exactly. So while we're doing this, I'm going to also be looking over here to see how I can switch the cameras, get you on the camera, because everyone needs to see that handsome face of yours, Joe. All right. So, Joe, we're going to be talking a little bit about this is the third episode of the dangers of AI, why we should be a little bit worried. And it's this whole thing of, should we be afraid of AI? I'm saying that's kind of a strong word. I would say be cautious, be concerned, be careful with it, but don't be afraid of it. It's inevitable at this point. It lives among us, right?
It is, and it has.
Yes.
And I had many conversations with AI to ask it what I should be afraid of, and it's assured me that there's really nothing I should be afraid of.
Isn't it nice of AI to tell you, it's all okay?
It assures me that it's here to enhance my life, not replace my life. So I'm comfortable.
There we go. There, I got there. I'm glad you're comfortable because you just trust it, right?
I do.
Right, yeah.
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was interesting on the ride in today as we were talking to Siri and ChatGPT about what the fears should be.
Right.
It was very interesting to hear their opinions, and I mean, they were all logical opinions, logical ideas here. So, Joe, I want to talk about. I'm going to break it down like this: the idea of the biggest fears that people have. While I'm doing this, I'm still working on this. There we go. Let me see. Does that switch to my pretty face? Close enough. There we go.
There we go.
There we
all
go.
Right, good
all right. Now I know. Now I know it's all good. I don't want any artificial intelligence taking advantage of us here. So there's a couple of different things I want to talk about. The biggest fear that we have with AI is, number one, everyone it hits closest home, is job displacement. Will AI steal our jobs? So we want to talk a little bit about that. The other one is the algorithmic bias. The bias is because AI is based on human intelligence. If humans have biases, have those biases translated back into this AI programming. Next is privacy concerns, which is a very big concern. Want to know how much of our personal information is put out there? The next one is kind of like, this one's going to be iffy. We're going to talk about it, but this autonomous weapons. Will we have control over those? And then the other thing is misinformation and manipulation. All right. Which is going to be another big one. And lastly, we're going to talk about the roadmap towards a safer AI, the solutions. And that's where we're going to add a little bacon to the show. Now, Joe, the reason it's called Bacon Bits is because everything bacon touches just becomes a little bit better, a little bit sweeter, just a little bit nicer to have. Gives you that warm, tingly feeling inside, right?
Are you talking about the bacon for chewing?
No, I'm talking about the bacon for doing, Joe. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So the acronym BACON, today we're going to be talking about. B is the bias detection and elimination. That's the B. The A is accountability measures. C is collaborative efforts. O is ongoing privacy safeguards. And N is a need for ethical emphasis. All right. That one probably deserved an E, but there's no E in bacon. So there we go. So Joe, we talked about this a little bit before, and I think you have a lot of feelings, a lot of positive feelings towards this, and a lot of excitement towards this. And so I want to talk a little bit about job displacement. And let's just talk a little bit about the history of job displacement, how technology always instills this fear in us. We're about to lose our jobs
Mhm.
because of technology. But historically, every time that happens, it creates more jobs.
It does, and I think you and I have touched on this a couple times, and I am excited, but the reality of it is that jobs are going to change, right?
Yes.
It's inevitable. I look at some of the things right now where there are enhancements, and we still need people to kind of do the inputs or the programming, whatever, and like
Yep.
those jobs are still there in one way, shape, or another. But there's things that right now can take a job that a human is doing. There are things that I can use right now that's developed as a personal assistant per se
Right.
that can comb through my email, draft some responses for me, give me some summaries of what I'm looking at. If I needed to go plan some travel for me, like all the things that you might hire
Yeah.
an executive assistant for can now be done with some pretty simple tools if you know how to utilize them. And I think that's only going to progress. So, do I think it's going to happen overnight? I don't. But do I think jobs are going to remain the way they are right now? I also don't think that's going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
I think there's definitely going to be some shift,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to see some things change. But we again, it's how many times has this happened in the past? How many times have we seen technology come in, and how many computer jobs were there back in the 80s?
Right. Right. There you
You
go.
know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and now look at us. Like you can't have a job right now unless you understand computers. You can't be a technician and work on vehicles right now unless you have some sort of a technology mind to understand it because the mechanics of it are there, but most of it is technology based.
That's a
So
really good
there's
point.
there's
Right.
there's transitions through all of this, and there's been transitions through the beginning of time, from the time when somebody would travel from village to build, churches and cathedrals, right?
Right.
And then that work changed and people had to find other things. And I mean, you look back like through the beginning of time, this is always happening. Is it going to happen at a faster rate? Probably.
Right. Right.
But are we all going to just die because
I
AI is here?
I hope
No.
not. I hope
No.
not.
And I
So
asked AI on the
right,
way
right.
in and it
Yeah,
told us
and
no.
no, we don't do
Yeah,
it. It
we're not
said,
it's not going to
"Don't
kill us.
close your eyes, Joe. You're going to be okay." That's what it said. All right. So I do think you touched on something about how quickly it's going to happen. I don't think that anybody who's working today necessarily tomorrow you're going to lose your job. Okay, AI is not going to jump into it. Our artificial intelligence is not going to take over everything that quickly. As long as we continue to embrace it as a tool, as something that enhances us. I loved how you gave it the example of how you use it for even crafting emails, crafting anything you have to write. It suddenly becomes a little bit easier, and we're able to jump to the more important things and let technology take over the mundane, technical, repetitive stuff. Okay, but let me ask you right now, if this jumps, if this happens quickly, and we talked a little bit about, like you might say, hey, I have an executive assistant, right? And AI is going to take care of all of that stuff. Where does that executive assistant go? And
That's
I,
a
yeah, and I don't know if you have an answer. I don't have an answer,
I'm
right? All
I'm
right.
not sure I have an
Yeah.
answer, but and I mean maybe there's still somebody out there that hasn't progressed with AI and isn't
Sure.
using it, right?
Sure.
And there's still a role there, but maybe there's always room for reinvention
Correct.
in anything and everything that we do. And I know you and I have talked immensely about this because you have some good points of how is this person that does this job supposed to reinvent themselves? Like how is
Yeah.
that going
Yeah.
to happen? And are there roles out there that are like that? Sure. But I still think that there's avenues, there's ways for people to reinvent, look for ways that they can transition, look for ways that they can grow. Um, is there something we can invest in? Not we, but our country can invest in for education and ways
Right.
for somebody to really, if I mean, and the reality is you should be investing in yourself always. You should
Correct.
always be working on developing yourself and growing yourself and trying to do something, learn something new, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and but should we as a country be looking at like how do we do this? And maybe we already do. Maybe those programs are out there. Maybe somebody can say, you know what, I need to look for something different.
Yeah.
That this my job was this. Now they don't need this anymore. Um,
Correct.
So who knows? I don't have an answer.
Yeah,
It's the long way of
No.
saying I have no idea.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. That's why I threw the question
Yeah.
at you instead of me answering it. I'm gonna play the bad guy and tell you AI is stealing everything from us.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the savior today. All right. No, one of the things I was thinking about was that we have to address this idea that AI is helping us, but it's also enhancing our lives and giving us greater opportunities. And I go all the way back to the Pony Express. The idea that it used to be if I wrote a letter, I had to hand it to somebody who jumped on the back of a horse, rode really fast and far, handed it to somebody else who then did that same thing. And because of that information, it said it was unreliable. And so people didn't use that type of communication. What instead, we only talked to the people near us that we could go and talk to face to face. Eventually, the telegraph was created, and we can send messages over the wires, right? And that was a beautiful thing. And all of a sudden, people started communicating even more. They were talking to people. They weren't limited to the people in their neighborhoods. They were limited to people all over greater distances. Then you get into this whole idea of a full-on mail, a U.S. mail service, all right, where you're delivering packages, you're delivering letters, you're delivering everything, and you're getting stuff brought to your homes. Think about how these direct deliveries, whether it be getting flowers delivered to your home, getting a pizza delivered to your home, getting all your housewares. I mean, I could go, oh, I just ran out of toothpaste. All right, sign up online and I'll have toothpaste tomorrow morning at my house for me to use. How quickly this stuff is. And the idea of me being able to reach out to people and talk to people, that all of a sudden I have friends, I have acquaintances, people that I work with from other countries that I can speak with openly and regularly just by either sending a text or even do some type of a voice communication. So when you think about how technology has created this entire world, this giant world, so close together and made us smaller and connected.
Yeah.
So I just believe AI shortening those kinds of things, making it easier for me to communicate, is going to just improve this vastly. And so I'm so for it for things like that. And maybe that administrative assistant who suddenly goes, I'm out of a job. Like you just said, that's not happening overnight.
No.
Okay. If you have an administrative assistant, you're going to not say, oh, well, AI just took your entire job. In fact, I think there's people who learn AI who then become administrative assistants armed with AI, because the plumber, the accountant, the lawyer, the roofing guy, whoever who says I could use someone like that, doesn't want to learn that software.
No,
So
but think about that. That's a great point. That's fantastic. I mean, you think about the things and the way that we can use these tools. If how much more efficient is that executive assistant now?
Yeah.
And how much more can they do?
Right.
For what they were doing before. I mean, my goodness, you could create a business in itself with that.
Correct.
Because now I can handle more than one client if I really wanted to.
Yes.
But there's all different opportunity there. You're right. If I know how to use the tool, I can go in and make myself a whole lot more efficient than I ever would have been just doing the job myself.
Now, did you learn how to type in school?
We did, yeah.
You did. All right.
Yeah.
So I remember
home keys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of those kind of people that I could never get the grasp of putting all my fingers on there. So I still type with only two fingers.
I still hunt and peck too.
Yeah. Yep. But I'm very quick at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now think of this, is that so many other people type with their thumbs, right? And that's on their phones, right? They're zipping around on a tiny keyboard, zipping around so quickly with their thumbs. So, and very few people have to know how to type anymore, because I can speak into my computer and it'll dictate. I dictate to my computer.
It's funny you bring that up. I was doing homework with my son, who's 8.
Okay.
And he came home, and most of their work now at the school he goes to is on a tablet.
Yeah.
And so his handwriting's horrific. It's awful. But we're working on it, and we're going through this reading section on this program that they use. And I forget, I think it's called Max Scholar.
Okay.
And he's going through this, and he has to read the chapter, and then he has to pick pieces out and answer questions. And it's comprehension is what we're looking for, just to make sure you really understood it, but summarize what you just read in different sections. And we did it on my laptop. not the
Okay.
tablet. So we get the laptop and he is flustered. He's angry.
Oh,
He's upset. He goes, I can't do this. I do it on my tablet because I don't have to type all the words. I can
okay.
just speak the word and
Yeah.
it goes in there. So I can just tell it what I want to summarize. I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
so you don't know how to like actually type or spell these words. Like you have no idea. You're
Right.
just talking into this thing
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
answering for you. Or they're using predictive text like
Yes.
you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and I'm trying to like understand like, you know, is there learning in that? And maybe that's where we're going as a society. Great. But to not understand how to fully spell a word because the system just picked up and finished it for you.
Yeah.
Where are we at that? Like how is he ever going to be able to write anything down if his tablet's not there or he doesn't have a phone to type it out for him,
Right.
or right? And we all do it now, right? How many times you go in your email and you type a word just to make sure you spell it right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
The technology's there, but I'm just amazed that this kid at 8 years old, going to be 9 in August, that this is how they're teaching him.
Yeah. But Joe, think of it this way. It goes back to the calculator idea. When they used to say, don't bring a calculator into school, I want you to do the math in your head.
Yeah.
And then they realized, no, use the calculator for all the easiest things. So I know you can use the tool to get the job done. Getting to the answers, the idea, right? And so when I look at this, when you're talking about your kid who he can't type on the computer, part of me is like, oh my God, I'm stuck in years ago going, well, he should learn how to do that, right?
Right.
But there was a point in time that I didn't know how to type, right? And I
Yeah.
had to handwrite things and I didn't know cursive, so I had to print, right? There was all kinds of stuff like this. At what point do we say, no, we need to hold on to that technology, that level of technology? Why aren't we just using a chisel into stone? Why is some technology acceptable? And we say, yeah, that's okay. Because isn't typing kind of cheating compared to handwriting? All right.
Yeah.
It's speeding it up, right? Making us more efficient. So the idea that if I can speak into something, okay, and it will type for me, just like I'm talking to an executive assistant. I think I told you once before, my aunt, God rest her soul, she had gone to school to become a public stenographer.
Yeah. You just told me that. Yeah.
Her job was to work at a hotel. And when the businessmen used to come to the hotel, they'd hire her to type letters and they would just talk to her. Why was that okay? And she was the one typing. Why
Right.
didn't they type? Eventually they learned to type and they said, this was technology that was easy enough to learn. We're going to move forward. We don't need that position anymore. So nowadays we talk into a computer.
Funny, my stepmother used to sell dictation equipment.
Awesome. Isn't that crazy?
To doctors, she'd go in and like sell these little tiny tape recorders and they'd, take their notes on it. And then somebody would dictate those notes. But to bring this back to AI,
yeah,
think about our drive over here.
Yeah.
We're heading to the studio and I wasn't typing things in my phone. I literally was having a conversation with Siri. And then if I didn't if there was something I wanted to expound on, I would say, hey, Siri, why don't you ask ChatGPT?
Yeah,
and Siri
exactly.
would go and check ChatGPT and come back. And we just had a conversation on the way here.
It was amazing. Suddenly you're realizing you weren't the smartest one in the car.
Right.
Right.
But you think about that. I mean, it just brings home what you're trying to say, and that typing may be becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and think about this in language, just like you were saying, is how's he supposed to communicate with someone if he can't write a note? How does he communicate with someone who doesn't speak English? Right.
Yeah.
So he's going to write a note in English and hand it to someone who doesn't speak English. Instead, he can recite it into this computer.
Yeah.
And that's the person who's speaking Chinese, Hispanic, whatever, or Spanish, whatever the language is, can go there and say, translate it so I can understand it.
Yeah.
Which is such an incredible step. Again, it's a shortcut for us to bring all of us closer together.
Yeah.
Okay. And so rather than just fear it, let's embrace it and let's use it. I have found the people who are the most afraid are those people who, for some reason, maybe they don't know if they can learn more. Okay. They don't want to learn more. They're very comfortable with the stage that they're in. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I do think that we have to encourage the next generation to go follow the right path. Yeah. Follow that area and understand and embrace technology and start coming up with other ways that we can use this technology. Okay. And I think that's it. I don't think I think we have to view the AI replacing jobs in two ways. Is number one, it's going to be a generational change.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
not happening this month, and suddenly we've wiped out half of the jobs. That's not happening. So it's in generations. We have to take a look at what's happening. There are no more public stenographers. There's nobody selling dictation equipment anymore. There's nobody building or selling buggy whips. All right, these are positions that were important at one point in time and then just disappeared. Okay, so you have to predict what's happening in the future, and it's cool to have automation like AI to go, what are some of the best jobs that I should have in the future? What are some of the things I should be studying so I'm ready and prepared for the future? That's the kind of thing, to have something that can actually help us predict.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And then the next thing is, if you are right now afraid, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care. You could be doing anything. Embrace AI in some way. I guarantee I cannot think of a profession that can't benefit by understanding artificial intelligence in at least some way, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
I know we're supposed to be talking about the things we're afraid of. I'm not afraid. So this is really a hard conversation for me to have, but I think we need to address it.
Yeah, but you have to understand, and I think you understand this, that people out there are going to be afraid.
Sure.
They're going to look at this and go, well, what's going to happen? Because it's something we don't understand.
Right.
Okay, that's all it is. It's just something you don't understand. So spend a little time and understand it. And that's why this whole idea of us doing this show like this. All right. So the next thing is this algorithmic bias. And this is something that's so important, is to think about this. This is information. AI is information based on human input.
Correct. Yeah.
And all the decisions we make as humans are based with a certain amount of bias. All the things, we avoid certain people. We eat certain foods. We do certain things. We flock towards certain people because we have some built-in biases. There's all types of these biases that we go through, which is an important part of our survival, so that we don't have to make a fresh decision on every single thing we do. There are certain things that we go, oh, I've experienced this before. I was taught to think this way. So biases lead us down a path. It's when the biases go too far and we start feeling negative towards people, or treating people in a wrong way. Okay, looking down upon people, thinking that we're better than certain people, etc., or that people are better than us, above us, beneath us. It's when that happens, that's when biases go wrong. And if those biases are put into this AI, what ends up happening is you end up, it's the whole garbage in, garbage out. So I'm asking it questions and it's leaning towards something.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've seen this. How you ask your question, what kind of input you give the tool that you're using, can impact the response you get. And it can go either way, but I've seen this where it leans in the direction that you're leaning. Right. So I think it picks up on that and it feeds on that. And I think, biases are something that can cause a lot of pain with just us humans. Right.
Certainly.
And even there's all different kinds of biases. Right. Even when it comes to like the confirmation bias. Right. And we're seeing a lot of this right now, especially because we're in the middle of, I want to talk about it. We're in the middle of local elections. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So anytime you get on Facebook, you can see the confirmation biases kick in where, I want to find all the people that believe the same thing I do, and I'm going to surround myself with them, and we're all going to post the same stuff, and we're all going to, and it's dangerous, I think, for us as humans. I think it divides us, and it splits us further and further apart and gets us away from the conversations that should be had. But to have that in a technology and a tool, that's something I think that needs to be addressed. And how do you address it?
And I think one of the things is, I joked about it a little bit about in the car that I said, you suddenly realized you weren't the smartest being in the car, right? But in reality, I'll bet you there's got to be a way that you could talk to artificial intelligence and say, search for biases in the information that you're providing me with, right? It's this idea of saying, I want you to open your mind to the possibility that some of the information you're working with could be incorrect, or some of the information you're sharing with me could be leaning towards one direction. It could be written by biased people. What I want you to do is get information from multiple sources. And what you end up saying is you can go back to this whole thing of saying, this is the thing. It was a big leap for me with artificial intelligence when I realized that I don't just have to ask it a question. I could say, here's a question, get the answers based on the writings of Thomas Jefferson.
Mhm.
And it's going to just do that. Okay. So I can say, I want to ask you a very important question about biases, political biases, let's say.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say, what I need you to do is to go back to the writings of some of the greatest political scholars of all time. Get their information on this. Find some of the people on the conservative side of this country and find some people, well-spoken people on the liberal side. Look at these all with an open mind, and then give me an answer that way. And I think if you want to eliminate biases, you have to, as a human, have to work really hard at that.
To eliminate them yourself.
Yes, yes.
And absolutely. And I think that's where it brings me back to the society piece of this.
Yes.
Is that I think there's a lot of people in our country right now that are maybe struggling with being able to do that, with having an open mind.
Sure.
So they want to hear the answer they want to hear.
Uh-huh.
And if you go to have this conversation with whatever tool with that frame of mind, you're very likely to get the answer you want to hear.
Completely.
And what have we just
right?
done? Now we've solidified in your mind, factual or not,
Yes.
that's the right answer,
Right.
even if it's not. And I think that's where it gets scary, because again, you're talking about inputs, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
inputs are going to determine what your outputs are when using tools like this, like a chat GPT or
Right.
a
Right.
Jasper or whatever.
Yep.
And I've gone in with, take this information and fact check it and give me only facts on this. No opinion, take the opinion out. And used it in that fashion. But I think we as a society need to be able to go in with that unbiased mind and
I agree.
truly seek the truth.
Right. Right.
So,
I think one of the things is that, Joe, it's even before we get heavy into the AI, it's as simple as, we all trust Google, right? We Google everything. I mean,
Right.
It's great to have a company that their name turns into a verb. All right. So we Google all these things. But if you were to Google something as simple as, give me proof that dogs are better than cats as pets, you would get a lot of information.
You'd get proof.
Yeah. And then if you said later, give me proof that a cat is better than a dog as a pet, you would get proof.
Yes.
So I agree with you. This confirmation bias of you are going to find the information you want.
Yeah.
We as humans have got to learn the most important thing is to open our minds.
Yes.
We have to ask ourselves every once in a while, could it be that what I believe might be wrong? Could it be that if I open my mind, I might learn something and become a little bit more intelligent? And I think that if AI could do anything for humanity, it would be to help us do that. Yes. That would be incredible for it to be able to help us just do that and understand that my preconceived notions could be incorrect. Okay. The types of things that we learn and we believe so wholeheartedly as children. And then as we grow and we become adults and we realize that was wrong, okay, that maybe it was a lie to protect us, all right, or whatever the reason is, we believed in fairies and monsters, and suddenly as an adult we realize that's not true, or at least the monsters aren't those types of monsters, right? You realize that if our minds are able to change and grow, that means as adults our minds are able to change and grow. Yeah. And we just have to be able to say, maybe I'm wrong.
And who was it, John Maxwell, that said that true learning begins when you're willing to question your own beliefs?
That's it. Right.
And how many of us are? Yeah. How many of us are willing to actually question what we believe is true?
Right. Right.
And until we are, you're 100% right. Until we can step back and go, is there any possibility that I don't know everything and that this could be wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
And until we're able to do that, you're right. We're not truly learning. We're not truly open to bringing in new information.
I think it was Socrates who said, but I'm probably wrong, but I always I'll give it to Socrates. He said, the only thing that we know for sure is that we don't know anything at all. Okay. And when you think about it, that's it. Because we base all of our knowledge on what someone else told us.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I could live my entire life with people who are lying to me.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to believe my life. And so suddenly when we're working in a AI, we suddenly go, oh, well, that could lie to me. That now it's a big deal
Right.
when you've been living a life like this your entire life, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know what? We're going to try to take a momentary break. I was told that the system didn't work properly, but we're going to test this anyway. Just a little bottom of the hour break. So let's see if this works. And look at that. That doesn't work. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. We're just going to stop that. I'm just going to say again, thank you so very much for tuning into 98.3 FM, The Life. This is a community radio station that serves all of the greater Lake County area. And we are a station made of your neighbors, your friends, bringing you all kinds of information, weather, sports, everything that's local. So thank you so very much for tuning in. But most importantly, if this station has done anything, it has brought you Bacon Bits. And so thanks for being a regular listener to this show. So we're going to get back to this. This is part 3 of our 3-part series all about AI, the things we should be worried about. So we talked a little bit already about job displacement. We're wrapping up bias built within, and we're going to talk on a couple of other couple of different ideas here. And if you miss any part of this episode, tune in later this week to Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So back to you, Joe. Anything else you want to add to this idea of bias built into AI?
I think we covered it.
I would say
it's,
so.
You know, I think it is something that as we all progress, I mean, we're all starting to use it.
Yep.
If you're not, I'm sorry. You should be.
Yep.
But I think we do need to look at how we carry ourselves as human beings. You know, is it, you know, we understand that, you know, media is there really to make money. They make money by selling advertising.
Yep.
They sell advertising by having big, ugly, hairy stories, because otherwise nobody wants to watch it, right?
Yep.
The bigger, the uglier the story, the more viewers, the more money, the more advertising, yada, yada, yada. So we can't understand that and then use that to base all of our beliefs and that as well. Like, let's get back to having an open mind and understand that these people we run into in the grocery store are our neighbors and our friends and wherever. And
right.
And again, topic for a different day.
Yeah.
But when we take all that and we're using AI, keep that in the back of your mind, that, you know, that I should have an open mind when I'm asking these questions, when I'm asking it to do things for me. If I'm really looking for data and looking for information, I have to approach it with that mindset. Cannot approach it with the looking for the answer that I want to hear. Like, tell me that this is true. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So now let's jump into this really quick. And that is the privacy concerns. So this is really important because people are a little spooked by this. And it's interesting because here we talked initially about job displacement, which affects us in a negative way. Then we talk a little bit about biases, that the things that we put into artificial intelligence. And now all of a sudden we sit here going, well, I don't want it taking from me. I don't want it to take my personal information. All right. And so there are some definite scary things about it, because if somebody knows so much about me, are they making decisions that will affect me negatively? And first, I'd like to talk about the positive side of that. I like having a bunch of my information out there, because then the ads that I see, the algorithm looks at this and says, it's not worth sending information to Marty on a Lamborghini because he's not interested in it and he can't afford it and he doesn't want to buy one of those. So why send him information on that, right? There are certain foods that they're not going to pop up in my feed, but there are other foods. I get a lot of bacon foods.
I wonder why.
I don't understand that one. All right. So what happens is I get handed ideas that are of interest to me, and more so, I get handed fringe ideas. Well, if you like this, you might like this. So I get introduced to some other things that I might not know about. So I like the fact sometimes that it knows about my trends, my buying habits, what I like to do. It gets a little scary when anybody knows something about you and you're like, well, what do you know about me? And are you judging me by that? Okay.
First of all, what's privacy?
Oh, good question.
You know, I laugh because people are there are still some people out there like, oh my God, I'm not giving my driver's license number, or I'm not, I want to keep everything private. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Nothing's private anymore.
Yeah.
Your stuff is out there, whether you like it or not. They are catering up marketing based on who owns the third house on every street
Right.
that also wears Nikes, right?
Right.
They know that information. They can get extremely targeted as opposed to saying, I want to market to everybody in this zip code. That's old. Nobody cares about that.
Right.
So when it comes to that, that's been going on for ages. And I can't tell you how long ago, what was it, 2013, 2014, when Facebook sent the new agreement, do you agree that we can turn
Yes.
on your microphone and camera at any point in time and listen to anything? And guess
Right.
what? People are all surprised when they pull up Facebook and they're like, why am I getting ads for new sneakers? Well, because you were talking about it 2 seconds
Yeah.
ago with your friend,
Yep.
and it's listening.
Right.
So, but with regards to privacy, it's gone, man.
Yeah.
There is no privacy anymore.
Right.
You would have had to really work hard to keep
Yep.
yourself quiet, private, and off the grid. It's darn near impossible. Like, I can take your name right now and I can jump on a website and I can pull your driver's license number down.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Right.
And there are tools that can source that data automatically. It's crazy to think that we have it anymore. And I think, okay, so let's lean into it, right? And get back to what you were saying. It shortens that path of maybe does it get you to buy some stuff you don't need? Maybe. Do you pull up a thing, oh man, I didn't even know that existed.
Right.
I didn't know that my fire pit had a shield that could go on top that could, actually deflect the heat out to us.
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually need that.
Nice,
Right. Because I was thinking in my mind, I could build something, whatever, it's just worthless. The heat goes straight up. Or, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they make something, a deflector for that.
Yep.
How cool. I didn't know about it. I didn't even know to search it. There it was.
Right.
So we shorten that path, which can be a positive. It can be a negative. It can be expensive if you let it control you. But I think, hey, I'd rather just, I don't want to have to think about things that I don't really want to think about. Right. Maybe just do that for me. That's fine.
Yeah.
What do I care?
I mean,
serve it up to me. If I want to buy it, great. If I don't, no big deal. Let's move on.
Yeah. How about this idea of the simple things, like not only this is something I think you'd be interested in, but here are the 5 different places you can buy it and the different prices.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then now I get to the point where it's amazing where I go, I'm looking for something and it keeps going back to me. Are you looking for this? Are you looking for this?
Yeah.
And it's asking me questions. It's finding things and saying, look, if you want to buy it used, it's this price. You can buy it here at this price. You can buy it brand new. You can buy 6 of them at this price. And then I get another thing popping up going, I've got 22 coupons. Would you want to let's try these coupons? Right. And I sit there going, yeah, you guys just figured this all out for me. What's my best price? All I want is this, Yeah. And I love that because that's the goofy, silly stuff that none of us really liked doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so for it to take that and get me the stuff I want, the stuff I need, and just take care of it, I can get back to doing the stuff that I really love doing.
Yeah.
Right. And one last thing on privacy that I really think is important is, at what part of my private life is something that I'm really trying to hide? Okay, what have I done wrong in my life that I'm trying to hide this? There was something, it was called like the grandmother test, or I think it was the Washington Post test or the New York Times test, something like that they said never do anything that you wouldn't tomorrow tell your grandmother, or you would be afraid it was on the headlines of a newspaper. Okay, never do anything like that. And you sit here, and I'll bet you almost everyone's like, I got a couple of things I've done. Yeah. I wouldn't tell my grandmother. Okay. But the reality is, if we lived by that type of a code, okay, we truly became the best versions of ourselves, we wouldn't be afraid of privacy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still believe that there's something to be said about privacy. And it's not like I press a button and they give me all the information about me. It takes a little bit of effort to find out. But let's talk about a young girl going on a date, first date, a blind date, right? If that was your daughter, wouldn't you want her to have a lot of information on this guy
absolutely.
she's going to, right? Suddenly when you sit here going, Well, his privacy doesn't count because he's going out with my daughter, right? Suddenly, it has a different meaning.
Sounds very biased.
Yes, exactly. Very biased. So there you go. I hope you heard that, Mr. AI. Okay.
It's so true. I mean, it's we want it to be there. I mean, when I want to know everything about somebody, right? And let's face it, man, people go out on all of these social media sites and they put it all out there. And in a lot of cases, it's the same people that, they tell you they want to keep things private. Well, then why are you telling me about your most recent breakup or your job loss and how unhappy you are with your current career and you're looking to move over here, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, right? Let's just air all our dirty laundry online and then talk about, I want my privacy. No, you don't.
Right.
No, you don't. You want people to ooh and ah everything you do good and feel bad for you when everything goes bad. You want everybody to know everything about you.
Yep.
And it's like, let's move on from the whole privacy thing.
Yeah.
It's gone. Privacy left us a long time ago.
I like this idea. If you don't want somebody to know something about yourself, stop shouting it out to the world. You know, that's the cool thing. So I want to jump into this. I'm looking at this. We're about 15 minutes left, and we got a couple things to cover. I want to jump into this one really quickly. Is autonomous weapons. This whole idea of we'll be fighting different types of wars in the future. And this idea of weaponry, robots, autonomous vehicles with deadly weapons on them, so that it protects humans. Right. Right now, they're building this kind of stuff of robots that'll go into a burning building, so it protects a firefighter, right? And so that's a good thing. But when you start thinking about a weaponry, like going, what happens? We're so afraid because we watch so many science fiction movies. What happens when that turns around and it says, now, I'm fighting for the other side, and we're afraid of that kind of stuff. And I don't want this to turn into a debate on the Second Amendment and gun rights, right? But it's the same thing. We already are surrounded by so many weapons. We are surrounded by weapons that were made specifically to kill people. Yeah. And we're surrounded by plenty of things that we can use to kill people, right? And so it's another one of these, I believe at this point, at least, an exaggerated concern.
I don't know. I will be the first to tell you that James Spader played an incredible character in the Marvel movies, Ultron.
Yeah.
All right. And who was just that, like, had decided that life was better without humans.
Yeah.
So
good. All right. See, we switch roles. I'm saying they're okay, and you're going to be the doom and gloom guy. Good.
Yeah, bring it. Let's go. No, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I have an answer for that. It is something that I think we need to pay attention to as we develop those tools, and those tools are being developed.
Yeah.
And as they're developing, what kind of regulations are we putting into it? How are we tracking it? And does development outpace regulation?
Right.
In this, I mean, who knows? But I think there's a lot to kind of pay attention to in that arena.
I would say another thing that's really important is when the sword came out, somebody created chainmail. Okay. That's what it is. Yes, chainmail to protect a knight swinging a sword. When spears and arrows came out, they invented shields. All right. Bullets are flying. They invented Kevlar. All right. So just as technology moves forward for this weaponry, technology is also moving forward for a way to protect us.
Sure.
So if there's weaponized drones, there will be protector drones. Okay. It's just all of that. We have to believe that that's going to happen.
At that point, do we just grab some popcorn?
Yeah, exactly.
watch the drones go at it.
Exactly.
And then we have no more AI.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Well, that's right. Then we still have your car.
That's right.
So yeah, that's a tough one because I don't think either of us are experts in that arena. So that's a tough one. Other than the fact that I truly believe, based on history, whenever there is any type of a weapon designed, there is a protective system designed.
Yeah,
it goes without saying. I mean, they built forts, okay, to withstand what catapults would shoot at them, right? So it goes both ways. Technology builds both ways. All right, here's the big one that I've been looking forward to, and that is misinformation and manipulation, the rise of deep fake. The idea here that I can instruct, I mean, anyone can instruct AI to speak in my voice,
Mhm.
I can instruct AI to shoot video, so it's my face is moving. I can do, they show all these cool videos of Morgan Freeman, pitching whatever, because they can just do that now.
Mhm.
And so it's, how do we protect ourselves from that? And I've done a good amount of reading and research on this, because I'm just so fascinated, having a graphics art background and just following this. I think it's just amazing how quickly that's progressing. And I'm gonna tell you, in Europe, they are coming up with a system they're working through. Okay, that one of the things we all have to understand is that whenever you take a digital picture, different than film, you take a digital picture, it has a digital fingerprint on
Mhm.
it. There is so much information behind the scenes in that
All the
photograph.
metadata.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are and some of it you can change, but some of it is embedded into it. You take a photo, I put it into Photoshop or something, I tweak it and stuff. So much of that information is still held within it, right? And it's awesome. Without a doubt, it's also being said this has been altered. That's just built into it, right? And that goes with video, etc. So in Europe, they're building 4 different levels of AI that leads to a deep fake, and they're listing them, and everything has to be marked a certain way. It's going to be judged in a certain way. So the littlest one is minimal or no risk, and this is like a spam filter or something like this. So they're like, we don't have to do anything with that. The next is limited risk, and this is the kind of things where they're going to have to be marked with some type of transparency. These are the chat box and the virtual assistants. So when you're talking to a robot, it's going to be saying you are speaking to an artificial assistant. You're not speaking to a human. That's the limited risk. It's still okay, but it's being clear. Then there's the high risk, and it's going to be involved with a lot of human oversight, and it's going to be highly regulated, and it's going to be the decision is going to be made to pull that. Okay, and then lastly is the unacceptable risk. And this is what I love about this, is Europe's looking at this type of thing and saying these types of deep fakes that are made to like overthrow governments and stuff like that will be eliminated, because they're working this protection, the shield.
Identify it.
Yeah, the shield versus the sword here. They're looking at this and they're going to be eliminating this. And the algorithms and all of the ideas, all the things we're looking at, all of social media, etc., will have all this stuff built in that it won't allow that out.
Well, and that's one of the positives I think you can see as an upside to how we can utilize these tools.
Yeah.
Because it can do it a whole lot faster than we can.
Oh my
It can
God,
identify it a
yes.
whole lot faster.
Yeah.
But as those things get into the hands of the general public, we believe anything
Yes.
for
Yeah.
about 3 minutes, right? And you can really impact people by putting one of those videos out there. You can also use it to the
Yep.
good.
Certainly.
I could create training videos. I could create marketing tools. I can create things where, let's just say I had an online school, right? And I was going to teach curriculum and whatever. I could do that
Yeah.
with that technology. It doesn't even have to be human. It doesn't have to be my voice.
Right.
It could be a picture of somebody talking with a human voice.
Yeah.
That at this point you wouldn't know the difference.
Right. Right.
And now I can scale that and let it run without me or anybody else involved.
Yep.
And I think that there's some good and some bad to that. I think it's really cool that I
Right.
have the ability to do that. But you could take the tool, knowing that there could be harm done, and utilize it to defend and protect against that. So
so currently, right now, if you post something, I think it's to Instagram for sure. I don't know about the other ones. Instagram, if you're posting something, there is a checkbox that you're supposed to mark. Is this AI influenced? Did AI have a part in this? So it wants you to identify, because it's seeing what's happening. If you submit writings to something like Amazon, their KPI, which is their bookseller, whether it's white papers or whatever, it asks you straight out
if AI wrote it.
It asks you, did AI write it? Did AI assist you, or is this completely human?
Yeah.
All right. And if they find out that you lie on that, you will be discontinued. Right. And so it not only asks about the writing, it asks about the imagery that's put in there as well. So it really, it is going, these big businesses are really going forward thinking, and they're saying, let's cover ourselves, whether it's for legal reasons or whatever, but they are thinking about how we move in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethically.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we should really think about, and this is perfect proof, is when AI first came out, teachers were so afraid because students were writing essays and term papers all with artificial intelligence, right? And teachers were like, "Oh my God, what are you supposed to do?" Then they realized that there were AI editors who would read it and said, "There's a 97% chance this was written by artificial intelligence." They used AI to detect AI,
Yeah.
right? And I think it was beautiful. And then, of course, AI progressed even more. And there's plenty of other ways that it's going to keep moving forward. It's going to keep getting tougher and tougher. And we're going to use artificial intelligence to detect the bad things. When I worked in the security industry, every manufacturer would come out with a better lock for a door. And I had so much fun working on a team that our job was to defeat the lock. We would take it apart, look at its weak points, right? And come up with a way to defeat it so that locksmiths and other security people could help people in life safety issues, right?
Sure.
We would give that information back to the manufacturers, and their job was to make a tougher lock. All right. And it was an ongoing experience that I love doing that. And I see that in every technology like that. Okay. The brakes in the car, they're not reacting fast enough. So what do? You improve the brakes and you just keep moving forward like that.
No,
So,
you add AI to look for obstacles in front of you and automatically apply the brakes faster than we can.
Yeah. I'll tell you, isn't that beautiful when you think about that? The one day, and I think we spoke about this, or I was speaking with somebody else about it, was not only will we be in autonomous vehicles, okay, but we will all be in autonomous vehicles probably without windows, with screens. So as my ride to work, I can be in whatever atmosphere I want.
Yeah.
They could be projecting beach scenes on there, blowing the right type of air, blowing scents in the vehicle. So I think I'm in, Haiti or the Bermuda Triangle. Why do I pick Haiti and the Bermuda Triangle?
Wow.
Yeah, those are the two. That's how much I love my job.
Wow.
No. The Dominican Republic, the Caribbean,
Yeah.
Cancun, whatever. This is the beautiful places I'll be until I get to work and I get out of work.
Yeah.
And so then you start thinking about it. Wow, what's going to happen next is suddenly those vehicles won't necessarily need headlights because it will be able to see in the dark.
Yeah.
And the vehicles will just be zipping around at high speed.
You also don't need speed limits.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you're going to get there a whole lot quicker. Traffic is gone because everything's moving at that speed. The future of that is exciting. And I am so, and you want to talk about giving up control. There are people that are deathly afraid. You want to go have some fun, go on YouTube and watch the videos of like some of the older guys that are getting into these Waymo cars in Phoenix and what is it out in Vegas?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's making a turn. It's making it. What do I do? Right. They're freaking out. And but by the time they get through the drive, like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it really is cool. And you got to be able to trust a little bit.
Right.
Because I fully believe that piece of technology can make better decisions than I can.
Oh, completely.
And
so much faster. Yes.
And that's it. That's just it. It's quicker. It doesn't respond with emotion. It responds instantaneously to things that could cause harm. I can't tell you, I use the self-drive feature on the highway and how many times I've glanced over for a second and then all of a sudden the car is coming to like almost a complete stop.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what was happening, in front of me. It saw it, did it, it reacted. And so I think in that aspect, I think there's so much to be excited about and to get, really, really excited for what's coming down the line.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it. So as we draw to an end here, I just want to revisit what we talked about, the BACON, the BACON, this idea of a safer AI, and that's the bias detection and elimination. I think it's going to be really important that we put an emphasis on trying to figure out what the possible biases are. Okay. And teaching AI to be more open-minded, and hopefully, possibly, maybe, perhaps AI can teach us as humans to become more open-minded. That would be incredible plus. The A is the accountability measures, and that is having government get more involved in AI and how it's being used, whether it's for our privacy or whatever. It's just being accountable for what it's being used for and why it's being used that way. Okay. The C is collaborative efforts. And I think this, again, is going to be multiple governments getting together and working together, just like we've done with the arms races, where we said we're better for everyone if we just put those things down.
Yep.
Okay. So we have to work on collaborative efforts. Okay. O is the ongoing privacy standards, is follow the lead that Europe is doing with these 4 different standards of AI so that we can then help people feel a little bit more comfortable. There's still going to be people who were born at a certain time where they're like, I don't like this stuff. This is the devil. Okay. But we're going to move forward. Look at it. I'm doing this whole time and you're on the camera.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. And then finally, N is a need for ethical emphasis. We have to think about putting ethics behind the scenes, behind AI. It's not just about information. It's about how the information is given, what's the purpose of it, and if we're going to allow these autonomous vehicles, and it's going to make those logical decisions. It's going to make those decisions that we as humans have such a difficult time making. That old saying or the old problem of you're the train conductor, the guy on the switch, and the train is coming nonstop. And if it goes straight, it's going to run over 5 people. If you hit the switch, it's going to go a different way and run over one person that you know. What do you do? And as a human, that's such a difficult question. And possibly artificial intelligence can make that a better decision.
Yep.
But who's giving it the information to do that? So I think, it's interesting. You think about a lot of times people are like, well, the choice is yours. What are you going to do this? No, the choice is not yours anymore. It's artificial intelligence is here. Embrace it, move it. Don't blame it. We're in charge of our own future.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay? So any closing words from you there, Joe?
No, I think this is great. I my feeling. I say embrace it.
Yes.
And lean into it and learn all you can about it. Utilize it. Grab a tool, use it for your daily life and things that just lean into it. Let's get comfortable with it. Let's start using it. There's a lot to be excited about. So
you can always reach out to me, Marty Jalove at Master Happiness, or Joe Janicki at Brightway Insurance. Look him up. Wealth of knowledge, this young man. All right. Next week, I'm going to have my good friend Derek Hartman here. We're going to be talking about the tough conversations, how to have those difficult conversations, whether it be with family, friends, spouses, our work people, our bosses, our employees, etc. So it'll be a fun show. If you missed any part of this show, tune into Bacon Bits with Master Happiness anywhere you listen to podcasts. Give me a day or so to get the recording up there. And then got any questions, any suggestions for other shows, please reach out to me. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
As
Marty.
always, you've been wonderful. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Have a ball at the discotheque with lots of chicks, lots of drinks, a DJ on set that doesn't stink, music that moves the body faster than a Maserati. Pump up the volume nice and loud, make it hot enough to move the crowd. Soaking wet, drenched in sweat, celebrate a new year you won't forget. From year 2000 to infinity, shake the room and the whole vicinity. It's getting hot up in here. It's off the hook this year. Heard somebody say that in the year 2000 is when the world's supposed to end. Word on the street is that the party just beginning in the new millennium. Party people, get on the dance floor. Let's get this party started. Red, happy new millennium. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Taking you back to the 70s on 98.3 The Life.